attended a conference in 2010 where we heard from the Liverpool team talk about the FaB project. In 2014, Trent Perinatal Network decided to set up a FaB project across our networks. So the aims were around signposting the families to the services of the children's centres, parenting skills, which the medical staff do their very best but haven't always got time to do, especially around bonding and attachment. The parents now don't see the children's centres as some sort of social intervention. The FaB workers are able to go onto the units and give them parenting skills, bonding and attachment, which is really, really important.
I remember standing beside the incubator, and I had all these doctors and nurses telling me potential outcomes, things that were happening with Jed, what the medical equipment was. And then Tracy came, big smile, friendly, not speaking to me like a doctor or a nurse. And it was really sort of the first person that put a hand on my arm. This is what I'll help you to try and do. These are the things that you're going to be scared about. These are the things that you're going to feel. Told me a lot about how I could interact with Jed. Even though he was sort of in that incubator, hooked up to all that machinery, I was really frightened without touching him. And I did put up a bit of a defence, like, am I going to love him? I tried not to love him because he was so poorly. I thought if he dies, it would be easier if I didn't love him. So I needed her to help me grow to love Jed.
Initially, when I meet a family, I introduce myself, I explain my role, I talk about children's centres, provide leaflets and information, talk about different services they offer. We move on to talk about different things. So we cover a bit of attachment and bonding. We have been using book start resources, which have been fantastic, and families love them.
So there were some things, some activities that Tracy taught me to do and that she would do with Jed and me that could help us see the development in Jed. She had some LED lights, and so she would put them in front of Jed when he was awake, in the very small window that he was awake during the day, and just to get him to do a little bit of tracking with his eyes, and so we could see his eyes move. To a new mother of a healthy baby, that isn't a big deal, but in my experience, those little tiny pieces of hope that you could grab onto, it made your day. It made your week. You'd go home, ring your family, just those small things. And I kept a blog because not many people came to visit, so I kept a blog so that our extended family could get to know what we were going through. And as I'm Australian, most of my family are in Australia, so those little pieces of hope and activity, the things that Jed was doing in that day that Tracy was helping me discover, they meant so much to everybody who was reading the blog.
Because Lincolnshire is so rural and families can feel very cut off, the participation and engagement officer can handhold those families into the children's centre. They can lower anxiety and also gives them opportunity to discuss the same fears that they've had with other parents.
Coming here and feeling normal with mothers and having a laugh and a conversation and a what did you do about that, and oh yeah, I went through that myself and this is what I did, and having the fact that he's attached to an oxygen tank, which Jed still is, be normal is quite refreshing.
In Boston, we tend to have quite a lot of families from different nationalities, so obviously me being able to speak a different language helps. But when they're on the ward, there's a lot of things going on, there's a lot of information they have to take on, so we allow them a bit of time and then call them and offer them some more support or talk about different services or activities, or there might be things that they're ready to access now that they weren't in the past.
The integration for health and social care has been really good. I think neonatal service work quite in isolation like any intensive care unit, so bringing somebody in to talk about what's available out there, it's always a benefit to everybody.
Another thing I would tell a mother that was leaving the hospital, stay in touch with the mothers that you were there with and stay in touch with this environment, with the FaB project.